Hey, ladies, welcome to Fearless Friday. I am so excited because I love the idea of a Fearless Friday. I love the idea of walking through life and going, yeah, sometimes we're afraid, but we're going to push through and we're going to do amazing things with our life. So Fridays are always exciting to me. And I love to do these Fearless Friday interviews because to me, there's this reminder of going out there and putting yourself in the ring. So thank you for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Meg Heppner. I am the branch director for Happy Healthy Women down in South Surrey. And I have the beautiful Amritha with me again today, which is so exciting. I love every opportunity I get to chat with her and just to be able to spend some time together. So Amritha, welcome here. I do believe this is your first Fearless Friday. So I'm totally pumped that you're here with me.
Yeah, thank you, Meg. Yes, it is my first Fearless Friday, and I am excited and pumped just as you are.
Awesome. Well, why don't you tell the ladies, because this is your first one, tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I am a certified life coach and I specialize in health and habits. I help working professionals break bad habits and build sustainable, healthy ones towards a lifestyle that you want to live. And yeah, I've been practicing this for almost around 2 years now. And my native country that I'm from is India. I was born and raised in Dubai, and I've been in Canada only for 3 years now, so very new here. And I'm looking forward to learning and growing and sharing my knowledge with this beautiful community out here.
Yeah, and you know what I love about what you just said is that you are living out Fearless Friday every day. Because for those of us who've made a big move, for those of us who've tried something new, you know how much fear can come up and how much you have to go, okay, yes, there's fear, but I can overcome. Yes, there's fear, but I can do it even though I'm afraid. When I think about the fact that, you moved all the way around the world, you left your other job and decided to do this, like that's huge. And so I love that because you are a beautiful just example of what it means to go after the life you want and to do that Fearless Friday thing to
Yeah,
maybe not
totally.
fear less, but to overcome the fear. So I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. And one of the things, as I've gotten to know you and as I've gotten to know your work, there's something that you really bring to light for me again and again and again. And I find it really fascinating. And I wanted to have that conversation today. And that is this idea of the importance of clarity. For so many of us, we walk around, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we walk around somewhat confused. We don't really know what we want. We don't really know where we are. We kind of have these vague ideas, right? Like, I know even for myself, if you would have asked me, I mean, I'm in my 40s now, but if you would have asked me in my early 30s, what do you want out of life? I really wouldn't have been able to give you a clear answer. I would have been very wishy-washy. Well, I kind of want this and I kind of want that. And I think about this. And wouldn't it be fun if, but I didn't have a lot of clarity about what I wanted, where I was, and how I was even going to get there. So I would love to hear from you. Why is clarity so important?
Yeah, so clarity is very important because if we don't know exactly what we want and where we want to go, then we would be just like a aimless ship, right? Without a rudder, just like moving around, like just doing what other people are doing and just copying other things and, just having no purpose or a end point to where we're going. So it's very important to have that clarity. And just like you mentioned, at different stages of our life, our goals might be different. Like in our 20s, we might have a different goal. In our 30s, we'll have a different goal. In our 40s, we'll have a different goal. So it's always important to check in and see where we are and where we want to go. And then, get that clarity as, oh, okay, now I'm in my 30s. I want to reach here by the time I'm 40s. Okay, let's start working towards that. So unless we have that clarity or that check in with ourselves, we would be just like cruising through life, just as anybody else, and we just wouldn't be hitting our goals. We would be just hitting other random things.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you said that because I've seen that exemplified in my own life. Before I became a life coach, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so I felt I felt aimless, right? Like I went to interior design school. I worked for my husband for a while.
Yeah.
My husband was a business owner. I worked in a healthcare facility and I was going to become a nurse. And then I was going to do
Oh,
this and I
wow.
was going to, and it was just sort of like whatever sort of felt right, whatever opportunity was in front of me at the time. And none of it felt fulfilling. And it was such an interesting thing because this is what I find the most fascinating. The emotions and the monkey mind that come up when you have no clarity can be extremely overwhelming, right? Like there's this idea of like racing thoughts and kind of this lack of, well, passion or purpose, like you said, in your life when you don't have clarity. Do you find that that's what your clients exemplify too? Like, is that their common experience?
That they don't have a purpose, and that's why they
Yeah,
don't
and
have
that they have,
clarity.
well, that their lack of clarity kind of makes them eh, not emotionless, but life doesn't have that juice because they don't have really any clarity of where they are or what they're doing, and that it causes their monkey mind to go crazy. Because for me, when I didn't have clarity, it felt like sometimes my mind was telling me to go here, sometimes my mind was telling me to go there. Sometimes this felt right, sometimes that felt right. And it felt like there was just this constant, I mean, monkey mind, I guess that's why they call it that. There was this constant crazy chatter in my head. But once I found clarity, I could direct that chatter. I could
Yeah.
go, no, we're not going to talk about that. We're not doing that. We're actually going this direction. So I'm
Yeah.
curious if your clients have that same experience with a monkey mind and sort of that unsettled emotions when they don't have
Yeah.
clarity.
Yeah, for sure. So not all of them. Some of them do. Like they come with a purpose or with an aim, like, hey, I need to work with you because of this. But then when we do this audit and when we like, dive deep into like, what do they really want and why do they really want all that? So that's when you said when the monkey mind chatter kind of like they silence it, that's when they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't really want that, but I think I want
Mm.
this. And then that's when they get the clarity as to, okay, this is the direction that they want to go. So yeah, some of them, yes, for sure.
Yeah, and you brought up a good word. You brought up the word audit, which is something that you do with your clients, which I want to dive into. You do something called a life audit, which is a huge component to just getting that, like you talk about bird's eye view of your life. Tell us a little bit about what a life audit actually is.
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing that also in my first workshop, which I'm super excited about. So, answering your question. So, I just want to get to the basic of what is an audit, right? So, an audit is actually an official inspection that we do on ourselves or on organizations' accounts. Whereas a life audit is something that we do to check in with our life goals and our values. So, when I say check in with our life goals and values, it means basically like where you want your life to go. Is it going that way? What are your goals? What are the steps that you're taking towards your goals? Are you taking those steps? What are the challenges that you're facing? Do you have any obstacles? What are you doing to overcome these obstacles? How are you going to overcome them? Can you overcome them? So these are the questions. I know I threw in a lot of questions in there.
Yeah.
And also to check in and see, are your actions aligned with your values? And when I say values, it's basically the fundamental beliefs or principles of a person's life, right? Like, for example, my core values would be authenticity, simplicity, humble, generosity, things like that. So, am I doing the things that I want to do in my life, following these principles and not being somebody else, right? And the importance of that life audit is just so that you or the client becomes aware, self aware of who they are, how they want their life to go and where it's going. And that way they can be in control of it.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And an amazing thing that you talked about is using your values as your North Star, right? Because you can go after success, but depending on what your values are, success will look very, very different to you.
Very
You
different.
can
Yeah.
go after all these different things, but if you don't have that strong foundation of values that feel really, really good to you, I can see you would end up somewhere, maybe reaching your goal, but because they weren't a reflection of your values, you still don't feel satisfied, which would be
Yeah.
such a frustrating thing, right? To reach a goal
Yeah.
and not be satisfied. Oh,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. So what I love is that you bring your scientific mind to this process. Like, I love that. It feels like what you're doing is you're putting all of your life on a table and you're dissecting it. And then you're saying, here is where, I need a little bit of work. Here is where things are going well. And so I love sort of that image of like a scientist kind of dissecting this life and then
Yep.
figuring out all the different pieces of it and what to
Yeah.
do. Well, how is that different than just maybe, let's say, taking some time to reflect, right? Like if you are looking at your life and simply reflecting on it, or if you're having conversations, with your friends, or if you're having conversations, maybe when people go, oh, what do you want? And you're like reflecting on your life, etc. How is this life audit, this very more scientific process, different than just the humming and hawing that we normally do about where we want to go? Because I think to myself, sometimes my goals come from, I read something or I saw something and I went, oh, I should do that. And then I kind of reflect on, yeah, that would be nice for my life. But I'm not doing this scientific process that you're talking about. So how are those two things different? And what are the different results if you're just sort of reflecting in comparison to if you're doing this life audit?
Yeah, thanks, Meg. Thanks for asking that question, because that's really important to understand the difference between the both of them. So reflection is basically a process of exploring and examining ourselves in terms of our perspectives, our attributes, our experiences that we have, whether it's personal or professional, and our actions, our daily actions and interactions with people. So we would reflect on an activity at work, or it could be an activity at home. We could be reflecting on a process like a project or something that we're doing for home or for work. And it could also be like an incident, like a conversation that we had with a person, whether it went well or it didn't go well, and what went wrong there. Like, why did that conversation not go the way, like it was not pleasant, right? There was something negative about it. So things like that. So reflections are done more frequently. Like, for example, if you're journaling, right, you're reflecting your thoughts and things that happened in the day. So you would journal like on a day-to-day basis, and some people might just reflect like end of the week. So it could be anywhere that we do the reflections for, like either daily or weekly or anywhere in between. Whereas in an audit, what basically happens is we are looking at the bigger picture. We are looking at the bigger goal, and that happens only like once in 6 months or annually. So that's the difference between reflections and audit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I like that. And so you could do that sort of in conjunction together, right? You have your set times to do your life audit. And then as you were going through, trying to live that out, you can do your daily reflections to make sure that you're
Yes.
honoring your life audit. Oh, I like
Yeah.
that. That's really, really, really beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Digging deeper. Okay, so with the life audit, right, you get that clarity of this is where I am. You get that clarity of this is where I want to go. But there's a chunk in the middle of what do I need to do to actually get there. And I know that you help people find that path from where you are to where you want to get. And a huge part of that is the habits that you create. And so I'm curious about what you believe habits are and how you help people incorporate them into their journey so that they actually jump that gap or do the journey that that gap requires.
Yeah. So in order to achieve our goals, we need to take action towards it, right? And everything that we do to take action towards it is based on our habits. So, for example, waking up early in the morning, or saving some money for your finances, or the habit of eating healthy, or the habit of reading a book every day, or learning something new to like enhance our skills for saving and things like that. So we need to identify what is good for us in terms of like good and bad habits. We need to identify that. And when I say good or bad habits, it's basically good habits are those that take you closer towards your goals, and bad habits are those that take you away from your goals. So they can be different for different people, right? Like a good habit for a person might be, for a good habit for you might be not a very good habit for me, and vice versa. So being aware of that, being aware of what are our good habits and bad habits, and identifying them. That way, when we build the right good habits, and take the right action, that's when we get closer to our goals. So just like you mentioned, like once we get the clarity, once we know where we are and where we want to be, we know that, okay, these are the actions to do it. But then there is a daily habit, there is a daily thing that we build to take those actions, because it's not easy, right? Like you say, I'm at 5 and I want to reach 10. Oh, it's just not like 6, 7, 8, they just climb the ladder. It's not just that. It's about the daily things that we do that inculcate that behavior, that routine in us, that take us closer. So yeah, so that's how I help the clients, or I help people bridge that gap, right? To help them build those habits that help them to take that action to get to that goal.
Yeah, I adore that. And what's so beautiful in that is that you are building, or you're helping them grow in character, because one of the things that's required for any type of success is consistency,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And habits make us consistent. And so that's like a character growth, right? Because so many of us will do things, and we all know this. We just came from January. Half of us already set goals in January that we're already not doing, right? And we somehow lost the consistency. We did it for 7 days, we did it for 12 days. Oh my gosh, maybe we even did it for 21 days. But for some reason, we lost our consistency. And that consistency, I feel like, is a character growth. It's like a muscle that you have to build. And I love the fact that setting habits and doing that consistency are so connected. So how do you help someone who is going, I don't have the consistency, that's the character growth that I need. How do I actually start a new habit? What is your strategy for that?
Yeah, I understand, Meg. Like consistency is very difficult to begin with. Like if you're starting something new, you're starting a new habit, or trying to do something that you've absolutely never done in your life. Like say, oh, I'm going to train for a marathon. Like I've never done that, right? And that's going to be very difficult to get that consistency, right? So I'm glad you asked this question, because it's one of my favorite things that I tell people. I'd like to, not just clients, like I tell everybody, like, hey, if you want to start a habit, this is what you do. So my 2 key points are: start small in time and effort. So when I say start small in time, is you start that particular habit or routine, say like 3 to 5 minutes a day. And you start it for 3 to 5 minutes, and you do it for a few days, for a few weeks, until that like sets into your routine. And then you slowly increase the time to, okay, now I'm good with 5 minutes. Now let me try to 7 to 10 minutes. And then keep doing that for another few days until that sets in, right? So you're starting small. So it doesn't feel overwhelming. Like say I'm going to start doing like a meditation breath work, and I've never done that in my life. And just think I have to sit for 30 minutes the first day. It's never going to happen, right? It's very difficult. Or I have to run for 30 minutes the first day. It's not going to happen. But then if I
definitely not going to happen. I can't do that.
Yeah. But then if I start small, like if I decide, okay, let me like meditate for 3 minutes today, or let me go for that jog for like 5 minutes today. And then let me do that for a few days until that sets into my routine and I'm comfortable with it. My body is comfortable with it. My brain is comfortable with it. Just like you said, you're building that muscle. Then I can take it to like 7, 10 minutes, right? So that's starting small. And then there's a different aspect to this, like starting small in effort. So that example I would like to give is, say you're trying to become vegetarian and you've been eating non-veg throughout your life, right? Like say 30, 40 years. It's so difficult to just switch the next day, all of a sudden the next day into like a vegetarian, because you have a lot of leftovers of your non-veg food. You've not like decided your grocery, you've not like thought out, oh, like what am I going to eat? So I would say start small, as in first quit fish, like just stop eating fish and do that for like a week until you're comfortable. Then you quit meat, do that for a while. Maybe it'll take a few days for some people, maybe it'll take a few months for some people, but starting small in that effort, like you first quit fish, then meat, then all the other like processed foods that have like non-veg in it. And then when you start increasing that vegetarian intake, then that's when you quit eggs, like all those different aspects. And you do that like week by week by week, then you can ease into it. The transition is going to be very easy when you do that. So that's my favorite thing that I say people to do. Start small in time and effort. Then the other tip that I usually give is do that activity or that routine the same time every day. So say it's you're starting yoga, right? So say 6 a.m. So try to do that practice at 6 a.m. every day. Or say if you're trying to build that habit of reading a book, then you set aside a time like 8 p.m. then try to read the book at 8 p.m. every day. So then that way your body's also like, it's just like the biological clock kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Your body's like, okay, it's 8 p.m. Let me just read my book. Like it just automatically comes to you. And it's not easy to just do it on your own. Always keep reminders. That's one thing, because we have our phones these days. We're always up with our phones. It's always good to keep that reminder like, hey, set it at 8 p.m. Like read your book now, and have that for like a month or two. So that way it keeps reminding you at that specific time to do that thing. So those are my favorite two things: start small in time and effort, and do that activity at the same time every day. And I would just like to throw in a bonus thing, which is wherever possible to do it the first thing in the morning. So whatever habit or whatever thing that you're starting to do, I recommend, if it's possible to do it in the morning, do it and finish it off. So that way, like, you're doing it. Like, you know, we don't like leave it for the remaining part of the day, like just like procrastination. We don't like let it go behind and like, you know, forget to do it. Like we will, okay, I'll do it at 5. Okay, I'll do it at 6. I'll do it at 7. And then you never do it. But if you do it first thing in the morning, then it's knocked out from our list.
I love that. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking about all the different things that I've been wanting to do. And I'm going, oh, that's what stopped me, or this is what has made it possible, or whatever. I'm kind of doing my own little checklist in my mind. Because it's interesting, since September, I've been trying to learn how to play the piano. And it's funny because I said to myself in the beginning, I'll play an hour a day. And I did that for probably 7 days. And then after that, I didn't touch it again for like 2 weeks because I had overtaxed myself, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just felt too overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so 100% what you're talking about resonates with me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because now I'll play the piano some days, I won't play the piano other days. And it's sort of like this back and forth. And so what you just talked about is like, could I play, you know, the song I'm trying to learn twice in a row and consider it practiced, and then gradually kind of grow. So I love that. That's super helpful. Helpful. Now you are doing a workshop that will take women through this process. Tell us a little bit about when that is and how we can join, because this is something everyone needs to do at least once a year. I feel like doing a life audit at least once a year is minimum, because so much can change in 365 days, and you want to know, am I actually getting where I think I'm going? So you have 2 coming up this month. And so tell us a little bit about them and how we can connect with you for that.
Yeah, so I'm doing the life audit, and I'll be covering 8 different areas of our lives. And I'll be doing that on the 25th and the 28th of this month. And the tickets are available on Eventbrite and Meetups. I guess, Meg, you'll be posting them under the...
I'll put it underneath this video. So for those of you who are watching the video, just check the comments, you will find it.
Yeah, and then the timings are 2 different timings. So on 25th, I have it in the evening, which is 5 p.m. PST. And on 28th, I have it at, I don't remember, I think it was like 8 a.m. PST, I believe.
Oh, perfect. Well, they'll be in the comments.
They'll be in the comments. Yeah, sorry.
No, that's totally fine. Sometimes we have so much going on, it's hard to remember everything that we're doing, but they will definitely be in the comments. And so check them out. And it's so kind of you to do them at 2 different times, because everyone, you know, can be busy and stuff. And so this way it easily can fit into people's schedules. So I love that. So I highly recommend people come to that. It's a must to do a life audit. I think that's one of the most important things you can do. Amritha, thank you for joining me for this Fearless Friday.
Thank you,
honestly, Meg. I adore you. I'm so glad you're part of our community. And I'm really looking forward to doing another Fearless Friday with you soon.
Yeah, same here, Meg. Thank you so much for the wonderful questions and sharing your insights as well. And I look forward to the next Fearless Friday too.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you for spending this time with us. We will see you next week. Until then, take good care. Bye, everyone.
Catch you at the workshop. Bye.